Actually, New Federal State of China, we did so much research on American corporations because they have a lot of power, not only economically, but politically, home and abroad. So a CCP regime aimed to subvert the United States going to hijack that power. So tell us a little bit more about what you know, how the CCP actually hijacked the power from those corporations and pressure them doing the things they want them to do to America.
Well, American corporations were desperate to get into Chinese markets, both to sell and to get cheap manufacture. And so Intel and Apple and other companies just absolutely have very woke politics here in the United States, but don't apply them to China. They ignore the facts of slave labor camps. They ignore the facts of forced labor. They ignore all of those realities to get into those markets. And as a result, I mean, consider BlackRock, one of the giant investment houses. Larry Fink's the CEO. In America, they're anti-carbon. They want to get away from reliable energy and move toward wind and other nonsense. And so they pushed Exxon to divest, this is just one example, divest from an energy play in Vietnam. Well, guess where that energy, it's not like the carbon's going to be kept in the ground. That energy play ended up being sold to a Chinese company, a Chinese Communist Party related company, because all Chinese companies have some party influence. And so the same carbon is going to be put out into the air, probably less cleanly than Exxon would have done it. But Larry Fink got some points with the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, for making that happen. And so it's that company. We found out recently that Goldman Sachs has an ETF that funds a subsidiary of the main maker of Chinese nuclear munitions at a time when the Chinese government is ramping up its nuclear arms manufacture and its threat to the United States. So corruption all through American industry in kowtowing to the communist government.
Oh, wow, that's an awesome job that you did. You dig all those information. I think every American needs to know that. So now it comes to the solution, okay? So how do we stop that? How do we stop the American sellouts to continue put the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, on life support when they actually attacking you, invading you, your airspace using the spy balloon? So what is the solution here?
Well, I mean, obviously the Department of Defense has to be better at protecting American airspace from balloons and from everything else. What we do is shareholder activism, is right-of-center activism against corporations to try to get them back to their fiduciary duties and not kowtowing to enemy governments, amongst other things. And other Americans can be involved in that, but we also need to see at the state and federal level legislation that begins the decoupling process, that takes us, the United States cannot be in a position where it's reliant on Chinese manufacturers and therefore has to bend itself to the Chinese Communist Party's will. And so we need to work against that at the state and federal level. I expect it's going to require a new White House because we know from the Hunter Biden disclosures that this is a compromised White House in that way. But I think we're likely to see it. And I think that after the pandemic and what we learned collectively, we understand that we can't, I mean, we never relied on Soviet manufacturers during the Cold War. We can't rely on Chinese manufacturers in what's shaping up to be a new Cold War.